So today I'm going to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and try Playwright, try installing Playwright. Since there's so much buzz about it, everybody's talking about how cool it is. And I would like to do a side-by-side comparison about just installation with and compare it with Cypress. Um, what I'm going to do in this video, I'm just going to go to the documentation site for both Playwright and Cypress. I'm going to install those two frameworks and see how easy it is to run your first test. So let me start sharing my screen here. So as you can see here, I have the Playwright installation page open, and then here I have Cypress installation page open. So what I'm going to do, I am going to open Visual Studio Code, and I am going to open a new terminal window. And then I'm going to open another split terminal window. So here I am in my user folder, and I'm going to make a directory for Playwright um, project. Okay. And I'm going to navigate to that directory. Here, in the other terminal window, I'm going to make a directory for Cypress and navigate to that directory. And I hope you can see this window well. Let me make sure it's nice and zoomed in. All right, so let's go back to the browser and imagine that we just, it's our first time installing any kind of automation tool, making an automation project. So I just created my folders. What do I do next? So let's look at Playwright. So here there's a quick introduction about Playwright and what it can do for you in terms of test automation. I do not see right off the bat what dependencies or what prerequisites we need here. Sure, it's somewhere in the documentation, but here I don't see it. I assume we need Node to install it using npm. So that's what I'm going to do here. I already have Node installed, so I'm just going to copy this nice simple command npm init playwright at latest. And I am going to paste it here. Okay. So it looks like it's walking me through a few questions. What do I want to use here? One is do I want to use TypeScript or JavaScript? I'm a little more comfortable with JavaScript, but I hear a lot about how good TypeScript with Playwright is. So I'm going to go with the default, which is TypeScript. Where to put your end-to-end tests. So it's just the default folder name, which is tests. I'm going to go with that. Add the GitHub Actions workflow. Yes, no. This is actually pretty cool. I don't think Cypress offers you to do that out of package when you're installing, but I will double check when we go through the installation process for Cypress. I actually do want to add this one, so I said yes. Install Playwright browser. So yes or no? Let's do it. All right, so it is initializing the project for me, which is really cool, and installing everything, downloading browsers. So yeah, everything went through very smoothly, and it's offering me some commands here, like what to do next, how to run your first test. It looks like it also added some example specs here, as you can see. So this is super cool, and it was very easy and quick. So what about Cypress? Let's go to the Cypress website. Okay, so again, a little intro. It does say here that you need a certain system requirements to have Cypress installed and running on your machine, including operating system, installation of Node.js, and the supported package manager. And then there are also different options. So you can install using npm, yarn, npm. I'm going to use npm again. It's just one simple command. Let's go back to the Visual Studio here. And I'm going to paste. Just because I'm using this split screen here, it wraps the text in a bit of a funny way. But it worked. Looks like it's downloading all of the dependencies for us. Let's see what kind of questions Cypress will ask. So Playwright asked me if I want to use TypeScript or JavaScript, asked me about the default name of the folder where I want to keep my tests, asked me if I wanted to download the browsers. Um, so that those were a few questions to walk me. Oh, and also asked me if I wanted a pre-created CI/CD script to run the tests in the pipeline. So that was actually pretty cool. All right, Cypress is still installing here. While it's installing all the dependencies, let's look at the command to run the end-to-end tests. So Playwright gives us some suggestions on our next steps if we wanted to run these steps. And also here, when it says success, it notified me that a Playwright test project was created successfully at this folder, this directory that I specified. So why don't we run the Playwright test? So npx playwright test. Um, let's run this command. It looks like Cypress just finished installing. And it looks like Playwright just finished running our tests. So one cool thing I see here is it says running success using 6 workers. So it looks like Playwright ran all of these example specs in parallel by default right off the bat, which is super cool. And they all passed in 14 seconds. I do not think that comes as a default with Cypress. You do have to configure parallel execution. And then when it finished running, it created this report that we can look at. And this was running in the headless mode. All right, so when I ran the command to view the report, it pulled up this report in the browser window. Let me click on one of the tests to see what happened. All of the steps passed. We can look at the before hooks. Looks like there was a command for the browser launch, and then a command for the context, whatever that is. And then the next command in the before hook was a new page. Then the next action was to go to this page, playwright.dev, and we had an assertion. The assertion was for the page to have a certain title, which is Playwright. And I like this little indicator, like the red arrow that shows exactly the location of the assertion and what it verifies. And then after hooks, fixture and page. So I assume this is just maybe taking down this context that was created for this test. Okay, so here we can see how many tests failed, which ones were flaky, and which ones were skipped. So it's a cool little report. Nice. All right, well, let's go back to Cypress and see what happened here. It says that, so once we installed, it says that everything was installed. I do not see any suggestions for the next commands here in the terminal. Let's go back to the browser. Um, okay, so here just some more instructions. All right, let's go to the next page, which is opening the app. So we can open Cypress Runner with a simple command and npx cypress open, or we can run tests in headless mode. But let's use this command to open Cypress Runner. And Cypress will open its UI runner. I'm going to allow access here. Okay, cool. So here there's a nice UI interface that walks over some of the new features in the latest version of Cypress, which is 14.0. Also highlights some previous features in the previous releases. And then there's an option to view full change log. So yeah, here we have version 14.0.3. There's a link to the documentation. And then you can also log in or create your account for Cypress Cloud. Continue. So here in this interface, there are two options. So whether we want to start with end-to-end testing or component testing, you can configure both, but I will select end-to-end testing. And then Cypress shows you what config files it has added for you. So Cypress config, and then also end-to-end JS file, which is a support file that is bundled and loaded before each end-to-end spec. Then we have a commands.js file for the custom commands. And also it created an example fixture file. Let's click continue. Here you can select the browser you want to use for your testing. I'm going to select Chrome. Okay. And here in this interface, you can select if you want to create a brand new uh, create a new spec, which is a template spec file that can be used to start testing your application, similar to what Playwright did when it created spec files, template spec files for us. Or you can import example specs to help guide on how to write tests. Okay, why don't we create a new spec? Okay, I'm just gonna name this one first test CYJS and click on create spec. Okay, so you can see it's similar to what Playwright created for us, which is a sample spec where we are just visiting a URL here, example.cypress.io. So you can select to run this spec or create another spec. I'm going to run this spec and see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, the spec was successful and it finished running. So I think personally that both Playwright and Cypress installation was super easy. It was easy to get started, start running your first test. I really like that cool little report that Playwright generated. And I also like the Cypress UI interface that helps you go through the steps of configuring your first test project in a more visual way. Let me know in the comments what you think. And also, would you like me to continue creating these videos, comparison videos between Cypress and Playwright, maybe writing some tests and creating some more meaningful tests and comparing them side by side. Or maybe there's some other topics with Cypress, Playwright, or other test automation topics and tools that you would like me to review and create videos for. If you'd like to see more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, and I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.